Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to something new that we're testing out over here at the Black Swan Podcast. I'm joined here with my boy Joe Boy. What's going on? One of the first things we want to talk about is the Young Thug T.I. conversation on Expeditiously. Young Thug had some choice things to say about Andre3000. Joe Boy's the one who called it and put me on, and we saw some clips yesterday. But I'm gonna let Joe Boy tell us what really happened and give us what you thought about it.
All right. So, long story short, T.I. has a podcast, Expeditiously, where he has a bunch of artists or whoever he feels interested to come on. One of his latest guests, Young Thug. During the conversation, they got into what they feel inspires Young Thug because he's a very different type of artist. So they brought up Andre3000, and one of the things that they brought up was the fact of how he dresses and how he was one of the people that paved the way to make it so that Young Thug could dress strange. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And so moments when he decided to. Yeah.
Right. So, but at a certain point, he started to basically say like he don't know any Andre3000 songs, or he wasn't inspired by Andre, or Andre isn't no type of influence for him, and he basically was like taken aback by Andre in a sense. You could like hear he has some sort of disdain for Andre. Where it stems from,
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
The conversation doesn't get to where it stems from, but the fact that you can hear it. And one of the things that T.I. was trying to get him to do was like, yo, go and have that conversation with Andre. Y'all two need to work together because, like, not even just like the song itself, but could you imagine a Young Thug and Andre3000 video?
The concept, the idea,
like just the visual of it, what they would bring to a video together.
Eccentric.
You see what I'm saying? Because both of them in
their own era. You feel me? They pushed the boundaries, and like in the time of Andre3000 when he was doing some of those things, we was not for
messing
it.
with it.
We was not for it. And then same thing, you look at Young Thug a few years ago when he came out, you couldn't tell me he don't like
when he wore the dress on Jeffrey,
the big
cover of Jeffrey.
And I don't want to cover magazine, so you take.
No, that was the cover of his album, bro. His album, Jeffrey.
Oh yeah. I saw the pictures before the album.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember the album. That's how strong of a statement you wearing a dress was, and how can you not see the comparison? And do you feel like that's a question to you? Do you feel like Thugger does not see the comparison with Andre3000?
As he's from Atlanta, bro. I'm pretty sure he does, and everyone else sees it, even if he doesn't want to admit it. But what got me is the fact of him saying he can't even name like 2 Andre songs. First of all, whenever Andre speaks about the new school and the new generation of artists, Andre always refers to Thugger, but he talks about Thugger
positively. Yeah.
He referenced Thugger during Five Dog's memorial, which like you would have heard if you were like following the situation before. Like you would have heard them mention that. He also wore a jacket. On the back of the jacket it says, "I want to be like Andre Badu." You're not gonna know who Andre Badu is if you don't know the fact that Andre3000 used to date Erykah Badu. You see what I'm saying?
And that's when people say his life changed.
So he says, "I want to be like Andre Badu," whatever. So my whole thing about it was, you can tell where the influence is there. You can tell where he's being disingenuous with what he's saying about like how he feels about Andre in a sense.
I like that word, disingenuous. Go ahead.
And then another thing that he said is like, and this is quoting him, like literally these are the words that came out of his mouth, because T.I. referenced him doing a song with Elton John. He said he did the song with Elton John and he wouldn't reach out to Andre because Elton John kisses ass. Andre3000 likes his ass kissed. And the example that he gave is if you were to meet Elton John and to be an artist that Elton John likes, he'd be like, "Yo, I'm a big fan of yours, But Andre is more the laid back, like you gotta get to the secretary of his secretary to get to him type of dude.
So you feel like he feel like Andre should be reaching out to him?
I just feel like, why are you mad that this man isn't easily accessible? Like you're gonna deny someone's talent, what they bring to their craft, because you feel like they're not as accessible to you as they should.
And let's wrap this up with saying, let me ask you this last question: do you think it's just hating, like, although it's different eras and all that, that's a status where like, yo, everybody expecting you to get there and you just ain't reached there yet in your career, and you might be realizing you might never get there.
Here's the thing though, it's like, here's a separation of what it is for me. They'll do it to certain dudes, but they wouldn't do it to other dudes. And when they say they do it to certain dudes, it's like, Jay ain't accessible.
No.
Hove ain't accessible at all.
I think that's understood.
No, niggas would wait years on a whole verse.
They'll be years for Hove to put their song out.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Andre carries himself in the same way musically. As in, he doesn't spread. He's actually less thin spread than Hove if you look at it.
Definitely.
Because the last time we heard something like heavy from Andre as a feature was probably 16 Ain't Enough with Rick Ross.
That would have been 18, 17.
Bro, that was way before that.
Oh, okay.
16 Ain't Enough had to been 2014.
All right.
2000.
We're gonna put some of those references up in the screen.
Yeah, we can find the exact years of what we're talking about and put them on the screen.
All right.
I say that to say, I don't think it's hate, but at the same time, still respect that man for how he carries himself. Like, you can't get mad at a man for the energy he wants to have around him constantly or what he wants to do with his time. But
All right, so hey, great topic. Glad for showing me that. That was good stuff. But expand your mind. We were just talking about it yesterday. And one thing I want to point out too, that Expeditiously podcast, T.I., I see you growing. I remember how it started, and I see where it came to now. I'm loving it. So one of my inspirations.
One of my favorite episodes of that is the Nick Cannon episode. If you haven't watched T.I. Expeditiously with Nick Cannon, check that out. That's one of my favorite episodes.
All right, guys, it's the Black Swan Podcast. That's THABLACKSWAAN. I'm your host, Anwar Stuffy Dog Smith. Always got my boy Joe Boy on the side of me. Until next time, be easy.